Hello and welcome to my series about the Dark Eye Rules Core Rule Book. We're now at chapter 5, Cultures, Kulturen, and it is kind of, the organization in the chapter is similar to that of the species. First they tell you what you're going to expect, how the description of the cultures is structured, and I'll go through that. First thing is the description part. That is just the text you can see here, and that is how is the culture called, what's their name, how do these people live and where do they live, what do they believe in, what is their view of the world, which customs do they have, what are traditions, which morals do they follow, and how do they dress, what do they look like, what weapons do they use. That is the background description you find in the text here. The box is about the values you get with their typical skills to choose and all of that. It starts most important with the language. You automatically get a language. You don't have to pay for the language. Every culture automatically gives you a language, the language of that culture. Sometimes you can choose because in a culture or a country there are people living who speak different languages. On Earth this is also the case sometimes. Then there is a script associated with that language. There are different scripts. The script does not come automatically with the culture. You have to pay for it when you want to be able to write, because not everybody can automatically write. Next is an Ortskenntnis. That is knowledge of a place. This is a special ability you get automatically, and it simply tells you were born in Andergast, that's a city, and you simply know the city Andergast. And when you're in that city and you want to go somewhere or want to find someone, you simply know your way around, you know to find people, and that's a special ability you get automatically assigned to because you know this place, and it gives you benefits or prevents you from giving a negative bonus on when you're in that region, in that city, in that place. Next is social standing. That is what you can choose as social standing. That social standing is different advantages or disadvantages, and it is usually like you're a slave or some kind. You're not a free person. You are a free person, and you are or you are a nobleman. And some cultures just don't have noble people. There are no nobles. There are no and some cultures don't have slaves or something, and this will basically tell you what you can choose from, if you can be a noble, if you can be a slave if you want. And these are advantages or disadvantages that give you experience points during character creation or not. Then there's a list of typical professions, because some cultures just don't know certain professions, or only know certain ones. Especially the Elven don't have typical jobs, professions like you know them from other cultures. Then there's a list of typical to choose or not to choose skills, disadvantages, talents, and so on. These are only ideas to give you an idea what you could choose, and it helps you to read through to get an idea of the culture. There's also something called a Kulturpaket, a culture package. This is a set of talents that are typical for the culture. You can take them, you don't have to. They don't make that much of a difference. There's usually a bonus of 1 or 2 points to a certain talent and to a few talents, and it doesn't cost that much. And it also, just reading through, helps you to get an idea what this culture is like and what these people do and how they live. That's about how the description is structured. I'll now go through every culture. I'm not going to detail of stats. I leave that completely out. I'm trying to tell you best I can about every culture. I might not know everything about every culture or may tell you something different, but I try to get these videos out pretty quickly as while the Kickstarter is lasting. So I didn't take the time to read through every of the cultures again. I tell you what I know about them, and again, if I tell you something wrong, or if you want to know more, comment, and I will clarify whatever you want to know. So the first culture, they are ordered in alphabetical order. The first is Andagast. That is a kingdom. They are a typical medieval kingdom with knights. They are the typical starting region. Andagast, it's like your fairy tale kingdom. It is not very advanced, and other empires and kingdoms look down on them a bit. But it is very like a small, secluded, very fairy tale place where you find your way around. And there's nothing important going on there in this country. It doesn't have a lot of power, and it therefore allows you to easily invent your own stories there, I think, because it is not so much in the focus of great politics or something, and it is often overlooked. The people itself this is a country where unusually there is where men are in power, and where it's very much like it has been in medieval times, or it is still in on Earth today. The men are the fighters, they are the knights, they are the noblemen, they hold positions of power, and it's very unusual for a woman. No, it just we will be frowned on if you're a woman and you are a knight, and that is very common in the rest of the world. When you're in the Midden Realm, you can be a knight as a woman, or an officer, or a soldier, or whatever job, and be in position of power, and nobody will really think something. Yeah. But in Andagast, you are like an alien. When you ride into town as a woman in full plate armor, they will just look at you and not understand what's going on. Next culture is Iranian. That is a mix of 1001 Nights and a medieval kingdom. They are like 1001 Nights people, so it's kind of Arabian, and but they have been part of the Midden Realm for a long time, and so you have like a mix of cultures there. And they are the opposite to Andagast in terms of organization, because here the women are the one who are in power and hold positions are the officers, and who are the soldiers and stuff like that, and the men usually stay at home and take care of the household or something. Next culture is Bornländer, Foundland. That is very much like old Russia, where you have noble that basically possess the farmers that work on their land, and it is a bit different because they have the noblemen elect a leader, and there are regularly elections to choose the new leader of the country, and they are traders and a seafaring nation. They are very well known to be around on ships everywhere, but in general it is more like an harsh country. People are there not very rich. If you are a rich nobleman in the Bornland, then you are not very rich in comparison to what you would find in the Midden Realm or something like that. It's a hard environment they're living in. Next is Fjarninger. That's a typical Fjarninger. These are barbarians from the high north. They are used to living in a very brutal and cold and deadly environment, and they really are brutal and hard and cold people, and because they just don't have the resources and not they just don't live in their environment is very unforgiving, and so they can't really take too much care of weak people or something like that. They're really rough and tough people from the high north. Next is Horasian. This is the typical Horasian person. It is Horasian Empire is like the Three Musketeers. You have to think of that kind of environment. It's a lot about intrigue and about culture, and they are very advanced. They have modern weapons compared to other civilizations, and that is a kind of playing style you would find there. If you have a very educated or character, you could very well play it coming from there, because people are there very educated. They have invented like the printing press and stuff like that, and they are just very advanced and not so much a medieval kingdom, more like Renaissance or something like that. Next culture is Marascana. That's the island to the east of Aventuria, of the continent. It is a very unique culture. You can't really compare them to anything that has been on Earth. Their architecture is a bit Japanese or Chinese. They have pagodas and stuff like that. And their fighters look a bit like samurai because of their armor is like that. But they really don't have anything, and they have similar weapons like samurai swords or something, but the culture is absolutely nothing like that. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing in common, and they have kind of a dualistic worldview where everything has an opposite, like a bit like Chinese, but the Chinese have with yin and yang, but also that is only a superficial thing they have in common. And it is all is based on a very unique religion they have, where they believe that there exist two main gods that are the basis for their dualistic worldview and stuff like that. And they live on an island that is very deadly and very poisonous. Everything there is poisonous, tries to eat you. There are plants that eat humans or big animals. Everything is poisonous. Small animals, big animals, huge spiders. The designers of the game have gone really crazy there, and everybody else in Aventuria considers the people who live in Marascana a bit crazy, and they are really unusual in their kind of their culture. Next culture is Manadistani. They're also a culture based on 1001 Nights. They are kind of Arabian, and as you can see here, that is this woman, and they are pretty much represent 1001 Nights. They have ancient old cities, old mysteries, magic, elemental magic, invocation, stuff like that. They're known for their magician schools and something like that. Sultans that are magic users. Cities that were built by genies and stuff like that. That is pretty much their culture. They're really culture. They're not so much everybody else or most other cultures I have named here, maybe with the exception of the Fjarninga, are pretty much also a country. There's a country Aranian, there's a country in Bornland, there's a country Andergast or kingdom, and they are more like a collection of people of same culture. The Manadistani, they have the same culture. They are different cities that are pretty much independent. They are not ruled by someone who stands all above them, and they are really a common culture distributed in the southeast of the country. Next is the Midden Realm. This is your typical medieval kingdom. It is you have the peasants, and you have here the noblemen, and they are ruled by a emperor or empress, and they have different regions actually with different kind of medieval, where it is more like not so advanced knighthood world, and where the situation is more, the land is more rough, and there's more a fairy tale part of the Midden realm, and there are very different kind of medieval versions there, and they are the most common people. They're just the biggest empire around. Oh, huh. This is an this culture is, these are the wood people. Wood people would be the most fitting name. Here they use the name Moha, and Moha is just simply wrong, because Moha is just, that is an in-game name, and it's basically wrong because it is just one tribe of these wood people. They're different tribes, independent. They live in the jungle in the south, and they're like the South American Indians in part, and Moha is just one of their tribes, and that's the biggest tribe, and that's why everybody else calls them basically Moha, but the technical correct tribe name would be Wood People. And their culture, what is their culture? Yeah, like Indian, they have a common belief. They believe in like a common god. The belief is different, and else I cannot really tell much about them. But they have no big empire or something like that. There was something like that before. There are ancient ruins like the Inca ruins and the Aztec ruins that are on the earth. They have something similar of an ancient wood people empire. But nowadays they don't have such an empire. I think we are over 50 minutes. We'll make a cut here and make another video with the next cultures. That's it for now. If you have questions about this, ask in the comments, and I'll try to answer them if you have questions about the cultures or anything. But I'm probably not going in too much detail about the cultures. Yeah, please don't ask too extensive questions, because you can ask a lot of them. All these cultures have basically very detailed descriptions in their own source book. I could go through a book just about people living in the south in the jungle, and about the Moa people, the wood people. So you can ask a lot, but I'm not too keen on answering too much, although I could. So that's it for now. Another video, maybe there will be a third and a fourth video just about cultures. But that's it for now. Thank you for your attention.